My dear friends, on the eve of celebration of National Constitution Day, otherwise known as National Law Day, I would like to share my views on the importance as to how we should celebrate the Constitution Day in a grand manner. At the outset, I would like to convey my greetings and wishes to all of you on the eve of celebration of Indian Constitution Day on 26th November 2022. Constitution Day in India is celebrated on 26th November every year as the Constitution of India, drafted by its chief architect Babasaheb Ambedkar, was adopted by the Constituent Assembly of India on 26/11/1949, and it came into force on 26/1/1950, which we celebrate as a Republic Day. The Constitution Day is observed to spread the importance of Constitution of India and how it is useful in maintaining the unity and integrity of India in spite of we having divergent cultures, religions, languages, and social divisions such as vicious caste system and discrimination associated with it, etc. The Constitution of India is the law of the land, and our social, political, economic and legal systems have to run in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution of India. The celebration of Constitution Day is also meant to remember the sacrifice and sincere efforts of world-renowned intellectual Babasaheb Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in bringing a best constitution, written constitution in the world, best constitution in the world, and for which he is rightly called as a father of Indian Constitution. The celebration of Constitution Day also held and being organized to ignite the lamp of knowledge in the minds of our new generations by enabling them to understand the importance of the Indian Constitution and its foundations and respect it and follow it in the right spirit by awakening to their fundamental rights and duties. It also makes us to aware of the current happenings where the democratic, secular and socialist objectives of the Constitution of India, whether they are being implemented or being undermined, and also to get them ready to protect it from distortion and dilution. This is also a way by which we can pay tributes to the father of Indian Constitution, Babasaheb Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and spread its ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity. Earlier, 26th November was being celebrated as Law Day since 1979 onwards. However, as a part of 125th birth celebrations of Babasaheb Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the Government of India declared it as a National Constitution Day, and it is being celebrated as a Indian Constitution Day since 2015 onwards. The rationale behind celebrating this Constitution Day or National Law Day was aptly described by Honorable Justice P.N. Bhagavati on 26/11/1985 by saying, "It is in the fitness of the things that the day on which the Constitution was endorsed and adopted and implemented to be celebrated as a law day, it is to emphasize and highlight the fundamental role of law in the society and remind ourselves of the sublime purpose which law is intended to serve in a republic governed by the rule of law." So the real purpose of celebrating Law Day is to rededicate ourselves to the cardinal principles which forms the solid foundation as declared in the preamble on which the Constitution edifice is founded and erected. The essential and ultimate aim of the Constitution is enshrined in its preamble, which is as follows: "We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, socio-economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of individual and the unity and integrity of the nation." In our Constituent Assembly, on this 26th day November 1949, we do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this constitution. Thus it is the people of India who themselves authored, enacted and gave to themselves the constitution, which means ultimately it is the people of India that matters and their will is supreme in all spheres of the life. The constitution is not given by any individual, authority or institution like parliament. All the institutions are the creatures of the Indian constitution, whether it is legislature, executive or judiciary. All the institutions and individuals who administer their respective roles got power from the constitution and not otherwise. They have to obey and work as per the provisions of the Constitution of India, in which they were assigned their respective roles, powers and limitations in discharge of their power. No doubt, Parliament is the highest policy-making body, decision-making body, and formulate the policies, and has got wide powers to enact legislations, but it did not have the power to destroy or emasculate or distort the basic fundamental structure or the foundational principles or features of the Constitution of India as enshrined in the preamble of Indian Constitution. Thus, the preamble of the Indian Constitution is the basic structure of the Constitution, and it cannot be meddled, weakened or destroyed or by the Parliament or the executive in any manner. This was categorically upheld by the constitutional bench of 13 judges in Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala case in its historical judgment dated 24/4/1973, which is famously also known as Fundamental Rights case. While celebrating Constitutional Day, we must also review how the Constitution is being implemented. The fundamental rights and liberties, equality and fraternity principles are being protected by the institutions to whom the power and responsibility of implementing the Constitution is given under the Constitution. It is for the people to evaluate whether central or state governments or any other statutory institutions created under the Constitution are really celebrating the Constitution Day in its true spirit by scrupulously following the cardinal principles of Indian Constitution, confining to their powers and roles assigned by the Constitution, or whether they are paying only a lip praise and respect to the Constitution while undermining its value and importance, acting against the basic structural objectives and framework of the Constitution. The people of India must watch the function of the institutions like Parliament, executive, political and administrative apparatus, including judiciary, whether they are acting in accordance with the Constitution or in contra to the basic structure of the Constitution and its objectives by implementing their own hidden agenda of subverting the Constitution to enforce their own ideology and aim of establishment of majoritarian hegemonic rule, slowly diluting and distorting the Constitution while pretending obeisance to the Constitution. If we observe the recent happenings in the last 8 years or so, if we carefully observe and study the functioning of the political regime and its political and administrative moves, invariably we find that the Constitution of India is slowly being sidelined indirectly to pursue their own agenda of converting this country into a majoritarian hegemonic ruling system by distorting and diluting the country, diluting all the institutions and ultimately destroying the very basic democratic, socialist, secular fabric of the nation, undermining the basic principles and structure of the Constitution and the fundamental rights and liberties guaranteed to all its citizens by the Constitution of India. To cite examples, the enactment of Citizenship Amendment Act, NRC, abrogation of Article 370, drastic amendments made to FCRA, UAPA, PMLA Acts, enactment of anti-conversion laws, amending Constitution to give reservation to EWS, and excluding SC, ST and OBCs from such reservations which are based on economic criteria which is not contemplated under the Constitution of India, misusing the office of the governor, central agencies like NIA, ED, CBI, against the dissenters, civic society, rights activists and political opponents, are the grim reminders and pointers of distortion and dilution of the Indian Constitution, while publicly owing allegiance to the Constitution and celebrating Constitutional Day as a ritual. Because of this slow and sustained drifting into the mode of Manusmriti, diluting and distorting the basic structures of the Constitution of India. Thus, they redefined their strategy using political power which they got from the Constitution of India and started employing the legal language to enforce their agenda in various forms without publicly discarding the Constitution of India. It is regrettable that Indian elite, liberal, democratic, progressive, secular forces, activists, including political parties who are committed to the Constitution of India, are not able to gauge and comprehend the danger lying ahead with the present trend of distortion of Constitution, because they have got overconfidence in the inherent strength of the Constitution as if it will sustain all these onslaughts, and they are yet to realize the political impact and effectiveness of majoritarian nationalism advanced by the present political power system. And this lethargy on the part of these progressive, democratic and secular forces is increasingly becoming counterproductive. That's why Baba Saheb Ambedkar said that the Constitution of India is strong enough to hold the country together both in peace and war times. And if things goes wrong, it is not that we had a bad constitution, but we will have to say that man is wild. And if hereafter things goes wrong, we will have nobody to blame except ourselves. That is the people of India. That is the people of India. That's why now we are observing the tendencies which are heading towards majoritarian nationalism. Under the guise of this nationalism, we are leading to a dictatorship, a sort of authoritarian regime. And that's why Baba Saheb Ambedkar said that bhakti in religion may be a road to salvation of a soul, but in politics, bhakti or hero worship is sure road to degradation and eventual dictatorship. He further warned that political democracy will not last long unless there lies at the base social and economic democracy. Therefore, we should not be content with the political democracy, as inequality and hierarchy were still embedded in Indian society. If we continue to deny the equality for long, we will only putting our political democracy in peril. So the hero worship in politics will lead to dictatorship. That's what we are slowly the trend that we are observing nowadays. So it is we the people of India who are having final say in all the matters. Having enacted and presented the Constitution of India to ourselves, we are exclusively responsible to see its proper enforcement and implementation by the concerned authorities, whether it is Parliament, Executive or Judiciary or various statutory institutions like Election Commission of India, National Human Rights Commission and other various statutory bodies which derives power and authority from the provisions of the Constitution of India, and see that they are working in accordance with the Constitution of India, and also see its proper enforcement by defeating the evil designs of majoritarian, authoritarian, divisive and communal tendencies being advanced by the powers that be under the guise of political power they got under the same Constitution, and protected from such tendencies and forces. Celebration of Constitution Day or National Law Day should not be a formal occasion or a ritual, but it should be a solemn occasion for every citizen of this great country to take pledge and rededicate themselves to the fundamental principles. Foundational principles are the basic structure of the Constitution of India as enshrined in the preamble, which cannot be diluted or distorted by the power establishment in any manner, and protect the Constitution by ever vigilance to realize the objective of unity in diversity with liberty, equality and fraternity. By dedicating ourselves to this onerous and sacred responsibility, we are serving our country, and not only we are serving our country, we are also paying the highest tribute to the great soul, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, who was a sole instrument who is a sole instrumental in giving such a beautiful and such a workable and such a fine constitution which cater to the needs of all people of India, all regions of India, all languages of India, all religions of India, all everything. So this is the basic structure which we should try to protect always. And therefore I request all my friends to be aware of our responsibility and see that the constitution in no way is diluted or distorted, or in no way indirectly or directly, and then only the future generations will be grateful to you and will remember us. So thank you very much. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat.